All right, good morning, everybody. It is 9:02 and we had an appointment at 9 o'clock. We had an appointment at 9 o'clock, right? So here we are. We are going to be talking about how to make and receive offers. Am I sharing my screen? Kim Whitaker. Dun, 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 dun. Sierra Magana, all my friends are coming in. I'm so happy to see you all. Nate Dudley, good morning. Good morning. Dawn, I'm going to ask you to monitor the chat because I'm making myself small because, I don't want to watch myself teach. That's just weird, right? All right, let's get started. So first of all, my name is Heather Estevez, and I have been a real estate agent for 17 years. Yes, I was a part of selling real estate during the crash. So interesting and exciting. I was an REO agent. I sold over 400 properties. I'm a solo agent. I've been with KW for almost 4 years. I have a mastery coach, I have a MAPS coach. I have a cyber backer, and I just love Me Plus Two. Me Plus Two admins is amazing. It works for me. I am the culture ambassador for our office. I got my beautiful culture shirt on today. And so the reason that I sell real estate is so that I can help people and so that I can live a big life. And one of the best things is helping buyers get into homes. I love helping new buyers. I love helping first-time home buyers. And so this is a lot of content for me. When I was taking a look at it, I thought, you know what, I could teach just a class on how to make an offer for an hour. So I'm going to do my best to just tell you how I get offers accepted, some of the things that are important to me, and then also how I receive offers. And so the first thing we're going to talk about is the offer process. So I'm sure that everybody is shopping with buyers right now. It's really important what we say to our buyers, right? It's important. They have all this information coming into them, and we want to make sure that we interpret that information for them. They're afraid. They don't know what's going on. Truthfully, they don't. They're just reading all the headlines, reading all the Instagram and the Twitter. And so we want to make sure that when we are meeting with buyers and we are getting ready to write offers, I'm one of those people who I'm a firm believer in what we put out into the universe is what we're going to get back. And so I like to be positive, encouraging, uplifting, but I want to make sure that my buyers are ready to win. So don't be out here shopping with buyers who haven't been pre-approved, who haven't done the things that they need to do. And if you're in a market where people are offering over asking, where buyers are paying for customary seller fees that usually the seller would pay for, you want to make sure you educate your buyer on that before you even get there. Before you even write the offer, before you even start shopping, make sure you have a buyer that's ready to win. So you've been shopping with these buyers, and you're so excited. You showed them 47 houses. And, even though everyone seemed to check the box in your mind, they finally found the one, and they're so excited. They're so excited. And so it's your job to make sure that you prepare this offer for them. And you want to do the best that you can in order to get this offer accepted. So I like to use a checklist to prepare my offer. The very first thing, before you go shopping, you need to know how much is on the credit card, right? So you want to make sure you're not ever shopping with a buyer that's not pre-approved. Now, if a buyer comes to you and they have their own lender and you've never worked with this lender before, it doesn't really matter whether you've worked with them or not. Please, 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 please have a conversation with the lender before you go out shopping. Talk to them. What is your buyer going to need? Does your buyer have enough money to close the transaction? Can your buyer afford to go over asking? Can your buyer waive contingencies? Those are things that you need to talk to the lender before you even shop. Okay, so you're going to help them. Your client's offer is going to be more attractive to the seller if a pre-approval letter is submitted at the same time. You have to do this. Don't ever submit an offer without a pre-approval letter. Please, please, please. So then you're going to want to produce a CMA. Okay, you have to make sure that you educate the buyer on what this home is worth. What's happening in this area? What's happening on the block? What's happening in a quarter and a half of a mile radius is going to be really important for where you want to write your offer. So you want to look at all the comps. I like to have them initial a copy of that CMA, or I send it in an email and then make sure that I have some correspondence back and forth with the client, because we want to make sure that you're just not so excited you're going in there and you're like, yes, 90,000 over asking. And then it's not going to appraise. You have a buyer that's upset because they've overpaid for a property. You just want to make sure you know beforehand how much this property is worth. Then you're going to review the tax records for information about pricing history. How much does this seller owe? That's something that you should know before you go and start writing an offer. How much does the seller owe? Is the seller in a pinch? Is the seller tight? Is your seller making, oops, I don't know if I admitted that person. There's a lot going on. I have like multiple screens, so bear with me. So you want to review the tax records. You want to see who's on title. Whose name are you going to put as the seller? You can get these things from the tax records. Then you're going to ensure the property is still available. Make sure you call, make sure you contact the listing agent. I'm going to talk a little bit about agent relationships. Now, I believe firmly in agent relationships. It's not just because I'm the culture ambassador. It's not, I believe in agent relationships. When you are finished with a transaction with your client, even though you're going to service them forever and sell their home and stay in contact with them, even though you're going to do those things, you are going to have to, after you're finished with that client, you're going to have to deal with your colleagues. You're going to have to build good agent relationships in your market so that when people see your name on an offer, they get excited. I have recently gone on a little streak and I had 4 different closings this year already where we won and my buyers got into the property and they were not the highest offer. They were not the highest offer. People want to work with me. And so you want to make sure that when you're going to write an offer, show a property, call the agent, ask some questions. Do you have reports? Do you have disclosures? Where is the seller going? This is all important information because you don't want to have counters back and forth. You want to make sure that you put your best foot forward right away. So the best way to really make sure that you have good, solid agent relationships is to, as soon as you know you're going to go show a property, just put that agent in command. Have a conversation with that agent, put that agent's information in command, set them up on a quarterly call. If you get an offer accepted, send them a card. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to working with you. I send a $5 or $10 coffee card and I say, hey, I know sometimes real estate requires a lot of caffeine. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to working with you. And I send them a little coffee card and a thank you note. Is this an extra step? Yes. Does it build extremely dynamic agent relationships in your community? Yes. Will you start to see after a period of time of building agent relationships, will you start to see people accepting your offers just because they want to work with you and your team? Yes, you will. And so you want to make sure that you're not just throwing offers out there. Don't write an offer and send it without talking to the agent first. I'm going to pause for just a few seconds on agent relationships. Does anyone have any ahas on that, or have you experienced where your offer was accepted based on agent relationship? Anyone?
Heather. Hey, it's Kim.
Hey, Kim.
Hello. Yes.
Tell us about something like that.
Yeah, I completely agree with agent relationships. It's super important to talk to the agent. I mean, not just to build a relationship, but because you want to show that you care about what the sellers are looking for. You know, they're not always looking for a big fat number. There's other things involved. And if you actually take the time to talk to the agent and ask them what matters to their seller, and you write that into the offer, it shows that you care, that you are listening, and that you are working with your buyer to be able to give them that. And I actually had an offer accepted a couple of months ago. We were not the highest. We did the best we could to come in high that my buyers were comfortable with, but we weren't the highest out there. However, because we actually really cared about what the seller wanted, they decided to accept our offer because we were asking all the right questions, and they really wanted my buyers in there. We were only like, I think, 2,000 over asking. I mean, something super small, something very minuscule, and there were more that were way over, but they chose us anyway.
Yeah, that's excellent. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. I just had a very similar situation. It was actually my little sister, the home that I just closed on for my little sister. We were $17,900 lower than the offer ahead of us. And it was just the way that we structured our offer, the way that we put it together. The agent just really wanted to work with me. We worked together before. And so thank you, Kim, for just co-signing on that. I realized that I did not completely go through this really quick. I'm just going to go through it. So once your buyer makes an offer, you wait for the seller to respond. There will be counter offers there, or the seller could accept the offer, or the seller could reject the offer. If there's counter offers, you're going to go into negotiation phase. If they accept the offer, you're going to begin that contract to close process. And if they reject the offer, the buyer's agent contacts the listing agent to learn more. Don't assume no means no. That was why I wanted to go back, because I wanted to make sure that that especially right now, we're seeing things come back on the market. So just because you missed out on a property the first time doesn't mean you might not have a second chance. Do we want to be just showing a ton of contingent show properties and chasing properties that are in contract? No, we don't want to do that. And when we get beat out, no doesn't always mean no. Sometimes you can write a backup offer. Ask the seller, ask the listing agent, will your client accept a backup offer? Write a backup offer. Continue to follow up. I like to put an alarm in my phone and ask the client, ask the seller's agent, hey, when are they going to be removing the contingencies? And then I call, hey, how's the transaction going? All right, so now you are going to write the offer.
Heather, I have a quick question. When you say, I'm glad. when you say remove the contingencies, what exactly do you mean?
So, yeah, that's a great question, Candace. So if there are any type of contingencies in place, it could be the appraisal, it could be the inspection contingency, just ask them, hey, what contingency, are there any contingencies in place? When can I give you a call back and just check and make sure and see how this transaction is going? Do you have an inspection contingency? Can I call you? I'm going to go ahead and call you when that inspection contingency is ready to be removed, just to see how it's going. And then put a little alarm in your phone that's going to go off and say, hey, call Kim Whitaker about 123 Main Street and see how it's going. Because what's happened to me in the past is I've gone on the phone and said, hey, how's your transaction working? And somebody says, hey, the buyer actually, they're going to fall out. We're about to go back on the market. And then I'll say, no, don't go back on the market. We want it. And I'll try to negotiate something from there. So especially if your client really loves the property, go the extra mile, put that agent in command, communicate with that agent, and just see if there's a way that the client can get into the property. Does that make sense? Did I answer your question?
Yes, you did. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Especially with lending guidelines and with rates going up, I've seen things coming back on the market where people just no longer qualify. And so on that note, make sure that anybody that you are shopping with right now, if they have been shopping for more than a couple of weeks, take them back to their lender. Tell them, hey, you know what, with the rate hike, we were already shopping at 600,000. I just want to make sure 600,000 payment with the new rates is still going to be comfortable for you. That's a win-win. A win-win is making sure that you know the market, you know what lending guideline, what's happening in lending, so that, and we're not lenders, right? And we don't claim to be lenders, but we need to know what's happening in the market so that we're not taking buyers out who were pre-approved with, you know, a 3.8 rate, and then now their rate is actually 5 and they can afford $50,000 less. So we want to make sure that you're not one of those people that falls out of escrow. All right, so checklist to write an offer. So the first step in representing your buyer at the offer stage is to prepare and write the offer. The checklist can be found in your toolkit. There's a sample of this checklist. There's also a checklist in car forms and in Sky Slope. Whatever it is that you think is the best checklist that you want to use, you can use that. But having something that makes sure that you don't forget anything, especially if you're a newer agent and you're all excited, or if your clients are excited, you're up against a deadline, you're writing an offer, make sure you have a checklist and just go ahead and go through it so that you make sure that you don't forget anything. So price and terms. So we're going to consult with our buyer to arrive at the most logical offering price based on the CMA that you showed them. If there's any seller disclosures, you want to make sure you review those. If there's reports, go over those with the buyer. And then you know what? Go ahead and have them sign those. Sign the disclosures, sign the report, send it over with your offer. When I have a listing and I get offers where it's a complete packet and they have all my reports and all my disclosures and everything signed, I love that. I can tell the buyer's agent is on the ball. They know what they're doing. My TC gets all excited because everything's together. So whatever that listing agent is giving you, use that. Make sure that you have that. So the next thing you're going to do is conveyances. So consider what times in the home will transfer or convey to the buyer. That is supposed to say things. And I knew that. And I made a note on my paper, but I'm not looking at it. So consider what things in the home are going to transfer or convey to the buyer. Anything that is attached to the home is typically supposed to stay. So in some areas, there's certain seller disclosures that will say that certain things are not staying. Make sure that you know that. Make sure you know if there's a solar, whether or not it's owned. Make sure you know if there's a big, huge statue fountain in the yard, that you know whether or not that statue is going to convey, because then you can write that right into the offer. Now, I have a situation right now where there's a piano. There's a piano in a listing, and the sellers are like, well, we want to give it to the buyers. And the buyers are like, we don't want your piano. And so what the buyer wanted to do was write in there, piano does not convey. So you want to make sure that you know what's coming with the house and what's not coming with the house. And when you say something is not going to convey, you're putting the ball in the seller's court to make sure that it is removed off of the property. The worst thing is when you go to deliver keys and there's a bunch of the seller's stuff there. So you want to make sure that that doesn't happen. Okay, items are up for negotiation as well. Make sure you check the boxes on the car form on the residential purchase agreement. If the stove is going to stay, check the stove. If the washer and dryer are going to stay, check the box. Make sure you fill the contract out as thoroughly as possible. Check as many boxes as you can for items that are going to convey, just so that there's no, we get to the last minute and it's like, oh my gosh, I thought they were leaving the refrigerator. You don't want that. So the next thing is the earnest money. The buyer makes that earnest money deposit to the seller to show good faith. Put your money where your mouth is, right? And where your treasures, your heart's going to be. So we want the buy-in from the buyer. So the earnest money is deposited in escrow, and then it's just held there. Make sure you explain this process to your buyers. Make sure they understand where that money is going. Make sure they understand who holds that money, all of those things. If you have a buyer that they're not tech savvy, they don't want to do a wire, make sure they have the information on how to walk in to the title company and make the deposit. Okay. And then obviously you want to know how much, this is where you're getting your buyer's business, right? You want to know how much money they have. You want to know what they can give up for 30 days. Can you afford to put $10,000 down? Wow, it's just really going to make the seller know how much you love this property. It's going to make you look great. It's going to be strong. Try to get them to leave as big as a deposit as they can, and be mindful of the fact that that's money they're not going to have in their hand while they're waiting for time for their escrow to close. Time for seller acceptance. Be sure to specify the time of acceptance. The residential purchase agreement allows for 3 days. And so we want to make sure that if you want the seller to decide before those 3 days are up, you write something in that blank. This is where agent relationships are really, really important. There's nothing I hate more than an agent pushing me up against a wall. If you are going to put a tight expiration date on an offer for a buyer, make sure you have a conversation with the agent. Don't just send it over to them and then they're like, oh my gosh, you want me to accept this? It's 5 o'clock and you want me to accept this by tomorrow at 8 a.m. Make sure that you are taking care of that agent relationship, not pushing that agent into a corner and backing them into a corner. Is it a great way to get an offer accepted? Yes. Is it a great way to get an offer accepted and get a listing taken off? And maybe they were going to leave it on for another 6 days and you're like, no, we want to know. We want an answer right now. That's awesome. And you can do that. Just make sure you have a conversation so that it doesn't look like you're just being a jerk. Okay. So financing terms, make sure the financing terms are agreeable to your buyer and the seller. So if you have a contingent offer, ask the agent first, is your seller willing to look at contingent offers? Don't just assume. And then make sure that you have those conversations. So which of these steps can be completed before you actually write the offer? Anyone? All of them, all of these things are things you should do before you write your offer. Good morning, Heather Garcia. I just saw you, you just popped in the window. Okay, so we're going to create the offer in command. Create the offer in command. So you're going to create the offer in command. I have to figure out how to reshare this here. Oh, look at all of you guys. You guys look all amazing over there. I just had a little teeny tiny window. I didn't get to see you all. Okay, so we're going to create the offer in command. And we are going to do that. Dun, 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 dun. Thank you so much for bearing with my singing and me switching back and forth between my screens. Boom, I did it. My assistant's probably on here like, man, I know she's struggling. Okay, so this is where we are going to write the offer. We're going to create the offer in Command. Okay, so creating offers in Command is going to allow you to offer comparisons that you can share with your clients. You will also be able to use data to help improve your future offers. You can keep a record of all the offers that you've written. You should be keeping a record of all the offers that you're writing. And so if you're creating opportunities in Command, and then you're putting those offers into Command, when you look at something, when you look at that contact, and when you look at all of your tasks and activities that you do, you're going to be able to see how many offers do I need to write before I'm getting offers accepted. You're going to see how often am I getting offers accepted. If you've written 14 offers and one hasn't been accepted yet, take it to somebody and say, hey, how can I make this offer more presentable? How can I make this offer look better? If you're not tracking how many offers you're writing, you're missing the boat. And so how you're going to do this is in Command. So this is opportunities. This is not going to be this is not a Command class. I have 30 minutes to teach making an offer and 30 minutes to receiving an offer. And so I want to make sure that you guys know that there's videos, all kind of stuff with Command tech training. If you don't know how to do this, get into it. Okay, so we are going to go to the active buyers that I have. And we're going to see right here in showing, oh, here is Mrs. Test. Oh my gosh, I love Mrs. Test. I'm so excited that she finally found a house. Here's my offer and commission. Okay, we're going to add an offer. I like to keep initial offer as initial offer. Okay, I like to do this because I might put Main Street, but I like to put initial offer because then if we have any counters and I need to do anything, I can do that. So then you're going to go in and you're going to enter all the information. When are you putting the offer in? Today. It's not going to close in 3 days, but you know, that would be fun, right? Paycheck tomorrow. What? Okay. So we are going to use 809 Calico Trail. So it will give you a place to write the seller's information. Of course, you're not going to have all of the email and phone number and all that stuff for the seller. You're not going to know that, right? And then you're going to be able to type the listing agent's information. Again, if you want to create amazing agent relationships in your community, put every single agent you do business with in Command. Send them a card, call them. This is a great opportunity for profit share as well. Okay, so, oops. We're going to say Heather Garcia is the listing agent on this. This is where you're going to put in your commission. Okay, they're going to put $20,000 cash down, and they're going to finance $680,000. Their earnest money is going to be 3%. That's $21,000. We don't have an option fee here in California, so just ignore that. But we're going to go to the agent analysis. This is where when I'm going to switch gears on you just really quick, just make a little mental note, put this in your pocket. This is a great place for when you're about to go over offers and you're the listing agent, put in here, what are the pros and cons of this offer? Okay, but do it when you're the buyer's agent too. So here I'm going to say pro is Heather loves me. I know that seems silly, but I just told you 4 out of the 9 transactions I've closed this year, my buyer didn't have the highest offer, right? So Heather loves me. We've worked together before. I am $5,000 over asking. I am waiving my contingencies. cons, whatever, has 2 offers. You don't even need to really do anything in here. This is just a great place for you to take notes. Okay, so now I have my offer. Look at that. I have my offer. So if the offer is accepted, you'll be able to do accept. And then if it ends up being rejected, you just reject that offer. Look at that. Does everybody see this? All right, perfect. So let's go back to this presentation here. Does anybody have any ahas or any comments about putting an offer in command? Did everybody know that was a thing?
Thank you for showing it. I didn't know it existed.
Yay, I'm excited. That is so great. I love when, go ahead.
I would say I love that you can keep everything all in one spot. So you're not like having to write notes somewhere else saying I did offers for this, that you can just slap it all in one spot.
Exactly, exactly. And then when you're trying to get paid, ding, 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 there's a reason for this. Because when you want to get paid and you want to have a demand generated, you do it right there in command. And so then it's already there. You're not halfway through the transaction and then title goes, hey, can we get your demand? And then you're like, oh my gosh, creating it in command, going to your MCA like, hi, I need a demand. Just do this up front. And then you'll also be able to, at the end of the process, you can go back and you can tell your client, oh my gosh, that was the 9th house we wrote on. Oh, that was the 1st house we wrote on. You want to know. So offer writing guidelines. When you're writing an offer, make sure you know what the guidelines are in your area. There are certain things that need to be included, certain things that need to be excluded. Some people use a cover letter. Give the offer a personal touch and help your buyers sell themselves. I'm going to show you my cover letter. And my cover letter is right here. All right. Oops. Thank you for your patience as I navigate my technology. Okay, so here is my offer summary sheet. So it has important information like the property address, who the client is. It looks cute too. It has the offer price, how many days I would like to have that property in escrow, the loan amount, the type of loan. I just want to let you know I did get this offer accepted. Because a lot of people are not doing Cal Firsts and all that stuff, but I did end up getting this offer accepted. Okay. I digress. The lender pre-approval letter is included, title and escrow fees, buyer to pay, and look at this, including county transfer tax. One of the agents in our office started doing this and was getting a lot of success with it. And so I started doing it and I've won every offer since I started doing that. So just have a conversation with your buyer. It's $1.10 per thousand here in, that's not right. Yes. Here in Solano County. And so just tell them if it's $500, $600, $700, just ask them, is this a fee that you're willing to take from the seller to make your offer more attractive? Closing costs, buyer to pay, and inspection contingent period. I had a CR attached. We had inspections already. Loan contingency, 15 days, appraisal contingency, 15 days, buyers must sell to close. No. And then I have all my contact information and this lovely picture of me right here and my cute little logos. Just make sure people know how to contact you. And this really helps. I've had so many agents, even agents that are, veteran agents that have been in the in the business 30 years and they say, Heather, your offer package was amazing. I have never seen anyone submit a package like that. So make yourself an offer cover page because it is definitely going to help. I do a little something extra, and that is I also use this. This is what I like to call my why work with me. So I always start by thanking them for letting us see their beautiful home. I tell them a little bit about myself, and then I tailor the letter to tell them exactly who I'm working with. Well, this time I'm working with Eloise Merrifield. This home checks all of her boxes. Why work with me? I pride myself in people first. I believe my job as a real estate agent is important. So this helps them to understand who you are. It gives them a picture of me. So now they're putting a name to a face to a name. And so if you want to have some type of resume, why work with me, something like that, that will definitely give you a leg up as well. So you can find a copy of this cover letter in the toolkit, or you can make your own. All right. Does anybody have any questions about cover letters? I know that it has been, for a long time, we have been doing love letters, right? We had love letters for a long time. People were writing those, and now we're getting away from those. It's a person, it's all about you. So if you are, just be careful in submitting love letters. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Heather, what's the harm in submitting a love letter? Sorry.
You need to be careful that you don't violate fair housing. You want to make sure you don't put any pictures of your clients. You know, if you have, there are a plethora of reasons why you would not want to put a picture. We have not always had fair lending and fair housing. In fact, we still don't have fair lending and fair housing. And so we want to make sure that even though we really want our buyers to get homes, that we're just protecting them. I do still submit love letters. I'm just careful, and I make sure that it's something that I have a conversation with the listing agent first and say, hey, my buyers really want to write a love letter to your sellers. Would that be okay? Do not submit pictures of your clients. If for some reason something were to come up, you know, somebody were to say they didn't choose me because I have straight hair, they didn't choose me because I'm A, B, or C, you want to make sure that you didn't aid in that. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, it does. Thank you.
Okay. And I used to do it all the time. I used to submit pictures, the whole thing. And then somebody said, hey, Heather, guess what? Don't do that. And there's actually a place now on the listing agreement where you can actually check that the sellers don't want to look at them. All right. So most agents will experience objections from their buyers when it comes to making an offer on a home. There are 2 common objections on page 8 of your participant guide. It's common for buyers to want to request the seller make repairs in their offer. This objection handler script allows you to give your client information to make an informed decision about repairs they request when making their initial offer. In this market, asking for repairs in an offer is not wise. That's my 2 cents. Unless it's already in the MLS. I wrote an offer a couple months ago and they put in there that they were going to do the roof, that the roof will be completed by close of escrow. I put that in there. But asking for repairs up front is not something that this market is, it's not conducive with the market. Okay, so we're not going to break into pairs and do this. I would just like to do one role play with one person over a buyer objection. Who wants to do that? Come on. Don't make me pick someone.
I will.
I'll do it.
Mila.
for it.
Okay, Mila.
Let Nate go for it.
No, you can go. Everyone, you can go. You are. Either one, don't matter.
Okay, Mila.
Yes.
So we are going to role play a buyer objection from page 8. I'm pulling it up. I'm so sorry.
I don't have the paperwork in front of me either, to be honest with you.
Oh, that's okay. 7, 8. That is the cover letter. I'm sorry, it's actually page 9. Okay, who has this page 8 script in front of them? Nate, did you have that in front of you? Page 8.
No, I don't have the script in front of me.
Okay, who
Heather,
has
sorry.
page 8 script in front of them that wants to either do when the buyer wants to the seller to make repairs or when the buyer wants to make a low offer? Who's going to be the agent?
I can try it if I get the.
I think you can do it. I'm here for you. Okay.
Sorry, I don't have the PDF for today as well. Abigail, would you be able to share it?
That's okay. Is there anybody in the chat that has the
Yeah,
Jenny?
Heather, I can
Okay,
try.
Jenny.
yeah, I can give a try for the. There are two scripts, right?
Yep, there are. So I'm going to be the buyer and you're going to be the seller.
Okay, I'm going to be the seller.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm going to be the buyer. You're going to be the buying agent.
Okay, I'm the buyer agent. Okay.
You are.
So the first one is when the buyer want the seller to make repairs, right?
Okay. Yep.
So I'm a buyer agent, or you're the
Yes,
buyer
you're a
agent?
buyer's agent. And you're reading the script there. Miss Buyer,
Oh.
until you have a physical inspection.
Okay, so Mr. or Mrs. Buyer, until you have physical inspection, we will not know, excuse me, how much these items will cost. And we could find additional repairs we may want to negotiate. Consequently, you have 3 choices. First, you can offer the seller less money now to compensate for those items. Second,
Is that a good idea? Is it a good idea for me to offer less?
Nope.
Like, oh, I like that. Yeah, let's offer less.
Okay.
What are my other options? You can ask the seller now.
Oh, you can, yeah. Oh, you can ask the seller now for a credit. Oh, yeah, that's what we should do. Yeah, you can ask the seller now for credit to repair those items using your own contractor. Okay. Or I usually advise clients to wait for the physical inspection and then negotiate all the repair items are at one time. So how would you like me to negotiate those offer on your behalf?
Oh, Jenny, I see. So we want to do all the inspections first, and then if there's something wrong, I can ask for it then, right?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. We'll do that. Let's type the offer up and we'll do inspection.
Great. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. I need water.
So that's it, right?
Yep, that's it. Good job. 1 second.
Oh, thank you. Oh, excuse me. I need to. Ew.
Sorry about that.
You guys
Gotta
are
love
reading
that.
off were you reading off the packet or the script book, elemental script book, page 8?
Page 8 in handle buyer objections. All right.
Okay.
Heather. Yes.
Clara, for the third option, they mentioned that's essentially a request for repair they're referring to, right? Submitting like a repair request?
Correct. That
Okay.
would be how you would ask for the repair after you finished your investigations. You would use a request for repair. All right.
Usually it's good idea to just get a credit, right? And when you get when you ask for repair, it might have impact on the mortgage side. So the lender will need to wait until all the repairs done. So yeah, practically that's not a good idea to ask for repair, right?
You know what? It really depends on the situation. That would be something that you want to make sure that you discuss with the lender. But you're absolutely right, that sometimes it is better. However, if there's something that is a hazard issue, something like that, writing a request for repair is perfectly acceptable if they're going to do the repair. So it just depends. It really depends on the situation, Jenny, but you're absolutely correct. And you're thinking that sometimes it's better to ask for a credit instead of a repair. And that's actually on the request for repair form as well. You want to make sure you use a request for repair form. The request for repair form has certain language that you don't want to just write an addendum or an amendment. Because if you just write an amendment for a closing credit without having a conversation and you're not sure what the listing agent is going to do, you might lose your chance at getting that credit. So you want to make sure that you put it on a request. I always call. Please don't send over requests for repairs without calling the agent. I call, I have a conversation. Sometimes an agent will say, oh, you know what? Will they just take a credit? Let's say they want a $2,500 credit. Hey, we don't want to do that pest. Will they just take a credit? Yeah, sure, no problem. Okay, I'm going to call my seller. Then the agent will call me back and say, yeah, sure, no problem. The seller's ready to give them a $2,000 credit, $2,500 credit, whatever it is. Then instead of writing a request for repair, then and only then would I put an amendment to the existing agreement saying that the seller is going to credit the buyer $2,500. Does that make sense?
Yeah, does that impact the price? So let's say that you offered like 750,000 and now you're getting a 5,000 credit. When you're writing the offer, now is the offer for 49,500?
If you're asking for a price reduction, if you're asking for credit, no, then it would go toward recurring and non-recurring closing costs. So there are multiple ways that you can ask for a request. You can ask for the item to be repaired. You can ask that the seller reduce the purchase price, or you can ask that they give a credit. Okay, I gotta fly because it's 9:50 and this is just way too much for me. Okay, so before you send it over, you want to make sure that am I sharing my screen?
Not right now.
I'm not. Thank you.
No.
Okay, I'm coming. Ta-da! All right. So you want to present the offer to the listing agent. Notify the listing agent of an incoming offer. Hey, how's it going? I just want to let you know I'm sending over an offer. Send the offer to the agent. Set a deadline. That means you're going to follow up. Are you going to be annoying to the point where the listing agent wants to block you? No. And you're going to make sure you follow up on your offer. Create the offer in command. Consult with the buyer when the seller responds. Okay, now, unfortunately, because there are so many things to talk about in presenting an offer for the client, I talked more about that than representing the seller and receiving an offer, but we have a couple more minutes, and so I'm just going to finish, get through as much of this as I can. Please feel free to to reach out. If you guys have any questions about what may work or not work, or if you need any clarification, please make sure that you reach out to me. Okay, so when you're representing the seller, you receive the offer, you gather the information about the buyer. The first thing you're going to do when you get this offer is you're going to look and make sure they have everything. Do they have a pre-approval letter? Do they have a proof of funds? And is the offer there? The next thing you're going to do is you're going to call that agent, you're going to talk to that agent, and then you're going to call the lender. You want to know as much as you can about this buyer. Do not accept an offer if you have not spoken to the lender. You want to make sure that the lender can do what the agent said, because sometimes agents just throw numbers out there. They're like 7-day appraisal. You need to ask the lender, hey, this agent put 7-day appraisal contingency on here. Can you do that? Are you a miracle worker? We don't know. So you want to make sure that you have those conversations. You want to present the offers to your client, and then you're going to respond to the offer. So here's a checklist. Address. Be sure the address for the house is correct. I'm going to add on here the APN number. Make sure the tax number is right. Make sure the APN number is right. Price. Check to see whether the offer falls in the range of the seller's expectations. Earnest money. Make sure the earnest money amount specified is acceptable to the sellers. Make sure they even put in earnest money. I got an offer a couple weeks ago and they didn't even write anything online for earnest money. They didn't even write anything. So you're going to want to make sure you take a nice, good look at this offer before you present it to your client. And you can do this in command as well. And there's even a way that you can compare those offers. And it's an easy way to have, if you have multiple offers, to have it all in one place. Time of acceptance. Check to see how long your seller has to respond. Make sure if the buyer's agent put you in a time crunch that you know that. If it's not the standard 3 days to respond and they want you to respond earlier, you need to make sure you go to the portion of the contract that says that, and you know when this offer is going to expire. Pre-approval. Verify that the buyer's pre-approved by a lender. We talked about that. Call the lender, email the lender, make sure your TC knows who the lender is. It's your job as a listing agent. When you have a listing, it's your job to make sure you don't just want to get into contract. You have to close that contract and close that deal. So you want to make sure that you bulletproof that transaction up front by accepting an offer that allows, I just got distracted because my TL just came on. Okay, sorry. You want to make sure that you have that all there, and that you make sure you talk to the lender and that those people are approved. Okay, financing terms. Make sure the financing terms are agreeable to the seller. Things like that CalFirst loan that I was mentioning. We got into contract with that loan, and then partway through our transaction, that loan became unavailable. And we had to do a little switcheroo. You need to make sure you understand what program that buyer is using. If it's a program that you've never used before, that you've never seen, USDA, VA, and you've never done a VA, whatever it is, make sure you call and talk to that lender, talk to someone in your market center, take it to your TL, make sure you understand what that financing term is. And then you want to make sure of when the closing date is. Will your sellers need a rent back? Does this offer give them everything that you need? I am probably going to go just a couple minutes over time, you guys, but I'm going to respect your time as much as possible. I do think this is really important though, so I want to make sure that I touch on these. Okay, so you're going to present that offer. Notify the seller. Not every agent does this. I notify my seller every time I have an offer that comes in, and I shoot it to them in an email. That's what I choose. I like my sellers to see it, live with it, look at it. I will present all the offers to you at one time, but especially if I have a client who is a high C personality and needs a ton of detail and needs a ton, I don't want them sitting on these offers for, for any amount of time. I want them to be prepared to make a decision at the time. And so I like to send offers as they are received, just so that my clients can take a look at those. Make sure you update the CMA, put the offer into perspective, given the current market. I also like to do a estimated proceed sheet with each offer. I like to let them know what each offer is going to net them, how much money are they going to take away, what is the bottom line. Then you're going to present the offer. The price, will the seller need to do repairs? Tell them as much as you know about your buyer, and then the contingencies. Make sure that you know the value of this property. It's very important when you're receiving an offer that you are not just accepting an offer because it has contingencies waived. You want to make sure that buyer can actually perform by waiving those contingencies. Even last summer when things were crazy and I had offers coming in with no contingencies, pick up the phone, call the lender. Hey, I want to let you know this buyer's agent is writing an offer and removing your loan and appraisal contingencies. Will this buyer be able to do that? That means they may need to have more cash. You need to have conversations up front. Then you make a decision, counter, accept, or reject. Please, 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 if you have multiple offers and your client is going to reject offers, take the time to send the page, the page where you put when it was presented and when it was rejected. Please send that back to the buyer's agent. This is about building relationships. Don't make people chase you. Don't make people say, hey, I saw that your listing went contingent show and you never called me to tell me my offer wasn't accepted. You want to make sure that you reach out to those agents, that you give them what they need, and that if you rejected offers, that your TC has copies of those offers and also has that page rejected and initialed. So when you reach a decision, you're either going to counter, and that's going to be a negotiation. You're going to accept, and you begin contract to close process. And then if you reject, the buyer agent contacts the listing agent to learn more. Don't assume, no means no. All right. So ahas to achievement. How has your thinking changed? What ideas or mindset did you find that was new? What do you feel differently about? I want to hear some of your recaps here. Let's just spend a couple extra minutes. What did we learn?
Heather, I really, really love that cover letter that you put together, personalize and send in, and the why work with me page. That's really great. And I'm going to actually start implementing that.
Awesome. Thank you, Kim. Dawn, can you please share a copy of the offer cover page and the why work with me in the chat? Thank you very much. Somebody else. Ahas.
Hi, Heather. This is Deepak. Lots of
Hi,
offers
Deepak.
today. Yes, definitely the cover letter, and then also about like doing your research. If you're a buyer's agent, doing a research on the seller, seeing if the seller is hard pressed for money, that gives you more information and probably an edge over other buyer's agents. Doing a CMA and getting your client initial it, make sure they're aware of what to expect. So many other things. Like being in constant communication with the listing agent. Like even if you make an offer but the property goes pending elsewhere, you still want to maintain that relationships. What if the transaction falls out? I mean, these are all great tips, especially for a newbie like me. It really gives you more information on in an if-else scenarios, like how do you respond, or how do you constantly keep in touch with what's going on at every step of the process. So really, really appreciate all the information. And of course, digging into more features of command that I didn't know existed. So thank you very much.
You're very welcome. And I definitely encourage you guys to go into command and look at it and see, how do I use this? How do I, you can just keep adding offers. These people can write as many offers as you want. You can set up tasks in here. You can upload documents in here and just keep everything, you can keep everything organized and in one spot. Agent relationships are the way to go. It's how you're going to get your offers accepted over other people's. Just a side note before I log off here from you guys, at the end of a transaction, after you have closed and your buyer has their keys, send that listing agent a gift. Send them a gift. Send them a copy of the one thing. Go hand deliver a copy of the one thing with a little note on the front, thanking them from their transaction. Say, thank you very much. This book has really helped me and helped my business. You're going to love it. Here you go. And then follow up with that agent and said, shared file in the meeting. Great. Perfect. You want to follow up with them and just say, hey, I just wanted to see how you like the book, because guess what? That's an opportunity for profit share, but it also builds excellent agent relationships. So thank you very much, you guys. I do encourage you to follow the Ignite 2.0 daily schedule and do some script practice with a partner. Make some calls to your database while you have this great energy, while you are all excited about taking this class. I'm just posting that again in here. Make some calls to your database. Think of 10 people that you can talk to right now while you're excited. Think of 10 people and then go and call them, and then input that info into command. Get in command today, enter some new info, practice writing offers, and give them to your coach or your mentor. And then this afternoon, view homes virtually. Continue to feed your database and do KW Connect trainings or go on appointments. Thank you very much for coming to Ignite. It was so
Thank you,
nice
Heather.
to see all of your wonderful faces. You guys have a super
Thank you.
fabulous
Heather.
day.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. I'm
Have
trying
a
to
great
figure
day.
out how-
Happy selling.